Good evening, good evening, good evening. This is Simply Atypical podcast. I like to talk about rashes and allergies tonight. There's so many different types of allergies and rashes. But what I can tell you is I also suffer from allergies that turns into asthma. At one time growing up, I used to suffer from allergy asthma and have since slowed down the process of allergy asthma. So it's been over 30 years since I myself had an asthma attack. But what I'd like to talk about is, there are so many different types of rashes due to stress, due to foreign particles, for example, laundry detergent, and then some people have allergic reaction or not. Maybe their allergic reaction just turns into a rash. There's eczema, there's foods, there's grass, pollen, dust, all kinds of things that can cause an allergic reaction and then a rash. How do you find out if you have so many different allergies or allergies that you didn't know about, and you often wondered why you didn't feel well or why you were sluggish? You could have been toxic, or you just could simply be allergic to something. And that's when you want to call your doctor and have them perform an allergy test. I remember at one time, this was way back in the day. I know that they still do it now. Doctors, they will number your back from 1 to 100 with a pen, and then each arm would be like 1 to 25 or 1 to 50, and then they would kind of like scrape the skin with different things that you could be allergic to. And then if you flare up, then they would know what that particular allergy was, or because you would get a red bump in that section, like if you were dust and it was number 5, then of course they knew that you were allergic to dust. So that's one of the ways that people find out. But one thing I can say, if you're not able to do it that way, it's always best to remove eggs, chicken, milk, white product like pasta, wheat, and just go to clean eating. And then it also depends. Some people are allergic to certain things like spinach or tomatoes or greens. It just depends, which is why it's always smart to keep a journal on things that you eat weekly, and try something. Just go basic the first week and just do maybe fruits and write down the different fruits that you consume. Or next week do vegetables, write down the different vegetables you consume and see if you have an allergic reaction. Then the third week, you eat fruits and vegetables and see if you have an allergic reaction. But always document what you've eaten, how much you've eaten, and the day. And that's one way you can check to see if you're having difficulty with allergies, or if you are itching, eyes burning, a rash develops. That's one way of knowing. And also it could be seasonal. So remember, winter, spring, summer, fall. We all know in the summer, spring and summer, the pollen count could be high, and that can cause an allergic reaction. Some people can't go outside when they're mowing the lawn. when others are mowing the lawns, so you have to stay inside. Some people need air conditioner in the spring and summer, but in the fall and winter, when everything starts to die down, pay attention to your food intake, because we already know that the pollen is dying. The dust may be blowing, may not be blowing. So these are the things you want to be aware of. And then check every 5 to 10 years, incorporate something different, or try those things again that you were allergic to, because there's so many different things that you can be allergic to and not even know it. But just, something doesn't feel right. So that's one of the things you can do to decide if you have allergies and if it turns into asthma. Some people are allergic to the cola nut. And the cola nut could be chocolate. It could be Pepsi. So if you don't know, but something doesn't feel right, then discontinue cola nut, the cola bean, and also know that green beans is in that category as well, so you can discontinue. I know for me, I was allergic to everything. I was allergic to chocolate. I was allergic to coffee, bananas, green beans, tomatoes, milk, you name it. I was allergic to it. I could go fishing with my father, but I couldn't eat the fish. And at one time, I believe that's when we ended up getting an air conditioner, because I would have allergic reactions. And my doctor suggested an air conditioner, which would help. I think one reason was it would cut the dust down, or the pollen count that would come in the house when the windows were open. So that's also one thing that you could be aware of. So with that being said, there are things that I've been doing along my journey that I'd like to share with everybody, but I don't want to share it on the regular platform, because it takes a lot of research to help someone to see if they do have an allergic reaction, and if they do, what could that possibly be. So we would do a process of elimination, and when that happens, that's when you go to patreon.com/Simply Jewel, and we can figure that out. But you can also go to simplyjewel.com, fill out the form. There's a tab in the upper right-hand corner that allows you to fill out the form if you're on medication. And if you already know some of the things that you're allergic to, then we'll be able to do a process of elimination. We'll be able to create a regime just for you, just helpful hints. So that's something I wanted to put out there so you guys could decide if that's something you want to try. And some people already know which route to take. That's fine. But there are some people that have no clue, and they know that it's something, but they're just not sure. This way, I can help you brainstorm and figure out what is it that you've been eating, what is your environment like, and so forth and so on. So with that being said, this is Simply Jewel, Atypical podcast. We are atypical of the average. Just simply, you never know what we're going to talk about. It could be fun. It could be exciting. It could be a feeling. It can be a conglomerate of things. So every week, please tune in, because you never know what we're going to talk about, or if we're going to have visitors. So until next we wrap, you are listening to Simply Jewel, Atypical podcast.